I'm O'Day. That's Vicky. I'm me. You're you. We are we.
Oh my god, that was so corny.
The You, Me,
Oh
We
goodness.
podcast. Welcome back to the You, Me, We podcast. And for those of you checking us out on the video, you see that we have two guestesses in the building. So Vicky, I'll let you describe our topic for today and why we have Keon and Keon's wife here.
So you don't know my name now. Okay.
That's what the show card says. That's what the show card says.
We're going to put a little name tag under you. Keon's wife.
Keon's wife.
Keon's wife.
Go ahead.
So for this episode, we wanted to but discuss how to keep things interesting, fun. I don't know any other words that are like synonymous.
Keep it spicy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
In relationships that have, endured the times and now you're together for a really long time. Usually people come into a rut, they don't know what to do, and they think that that's the end, when all they need to do is just like have fun, but they just don't know how.
Yeah. So you guys have been together for how long?
No. You can answer
Oh,
this
you
one,
know
sir.
what? Wait, this is my favorite part, right? Because this is not the first time this has happened. This
You're
happened
giving him
with
too
us.
much time to think.
But this has happened to us. It's happened to you, but it has happened with other people where we're like, oh, how long you been together? Like,
Oh, no, I know.
oh, I don't know.
I know.
It's
I
all right.
know.
I
Oh,
know. I know of.
Uh-huh.
same.
We started dating in 2007.
Okay.
Oh.
So
Okay.
since 2007.
Just looks like
I thought he was going to
you
say
right so far.
2008.
Huh?
I thought you were going to say 2008 because technically we dated in 2007,
what-
but we weren't official.
that was the
and then
caveat.
in 2008,
The caveat
we
was
became
dating.
official.
So y'all were friends. Wait.
We were
Or at least
strong.
Keon thought you were dating in 2007.
No, we were.
We
We
were.
were. But we weren't official. If Keon was walking down the street in 2007, he'd just be the guy I was talking to. He wouldn't be my boyfriend. So, but I counted it. I'm just saying I'm happy that you counted it too. So I don't feel
Okay.
stupid.
Well, no, I think we were strong acquaintances.
Strong
Yeah.
acquaintance.
Damn, I've never heard that one.
Wow.
We were strong acquaintance.
Strong. Nah, we were definitely more than friends. So there's just tons of love songs that would apply. I can't think of them right now though. So but that's usually where I start the counter.
Good.
07.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
07.
yeah.
So do the math, carry the one.
What's that, 11 years?
There you go.
11 years.
Yes, 11 years.
Yeah.
Like Vicky said, I guess some people will see the rut, or I guess
Yeah. So
if you let yourself fall into a rut, you let yourself fall. Or is it even a rut? Some people might just be like, "Oh, we haven't done anything. We haven't done anything
You get
together
ruts.
in like 3 weeks. Or we're in a rut." Or is it just that we've been busy?
No,
or
it's more time
it's a
than
rut?
that, but
Fam, you get in a rut.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like deep ruts.
It happens.
Yeah.
And then that's usually
you
when
don't-
things fall apart because people are like, "Oh, this isn't working out anymore.
Right.
We don't have anything in common anymore." Like, dude, relax.
Yeah.
I think
Chill out.
people tend to fall into a rut or quote unquote rut because when what they're doing at the moment, once the fun stops at that moment, and the expectation is to now become something else that is fun, they don't want to put in that time or effort to try to figure it out.
Now, when you
Yes.
say become
Yes.
something
Right.
else, what do you mean?
So, like, for example, throughout our relationship, Keon and I, we've lived with roommates. So living with roommates, there was always people there, always types of some sort of fun, always, party, drinking, whatever the case may be.
Non-alcoholic beverages, of course.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Let's go with that.
This is a clean show. This is a clean show.
So then when we moved out on our own, like when we finally got our own place, now it became, all right, we're so used to always being around having fun with our friends. Now we have to figure out how to have fun by ourselves.
Yeah.
And that, I'm not going to say we fell into a rut in that, but it did kind of catch us by surprise. Like, okay, how are we supposed to handle this? Because we haven't done this before.
Yeah.
And now it became, let's figure this out. Took a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, and then we started, building on that.
Yes.
As opposed to relying on what we were used to doing
Right.
for years prior.
Yeah.
I would say that kind of happened because we had our fun because when we lived separately, we see each
Yeah.
other a certain time, but then we
Right.
moved. Now there was this whole new norm of we got to find a way to keep the person entertained, not for the 4 hours you see them in that day, but for the 24 hours that You're gonna live with
Right,
her.
right.
Yeah.
So like,
Right.
okay,
On top of like the nuances and the
yeah. And of course,
Agreed.
you move in together. The first couple of weeks is like we live
Got our own
together.
place.
We can do whatever we want. You know,
A little honeymoon
awesome.
phase.
you can be as loud
Make a
as you
peanut butter
want.
and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Ian is so happy. Like, I love these.
You never cut the crust off the sandwich. Be clear.
I don't waste.
What conclusion did you come to? Now it's okay. We got to find these new ways of keeping it fun because we don't have that outside influence. We don't have the people around us giving the ideas and having the
Yeah,
parties.
like now it's 100% on each of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I'll let him go first.
I think it kind of forces you to listen a little bit more and have to kind of really mine for those moments and I mean when you do spend time or when you do live together and you're spending a lot of time with each other, I think there's value in still going out and maintaining those relationships with other people. You know, if she wants to go out with her friends, I'm pushing her out the door. I'm like, yeah, go. She'll come home and be like, oh, I'm tired, I had a long day. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, you could chill here, but like, I know you got something planned with your girls. Like, well, why don't you go do that? Like,
Yeah.
go hang out with them, you know, and, you know, experience that. And then when you come back, it's kind of like a little bit more sweeter that we have that time together.
Yeah.
You know, when, you know, we're looking for different things to do that are still fun, it's like, I mean, you don't get creepy about it, but like, you know, you kind of see what she's looking up on her computer, just like in passing or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't dive in. I don't
This is
go,
news to me.
I mean, you know,
She's like, hold up.
You know what I'm saying? I just like,
you know, I mean, I don't
you
go
doing?
Mr. Robot on MacBook, but you know, I just like, oh, what you looking up, or like, what are you looking at right now, or what are the videos that you streaming or whatever, or you know, if she's listening to a lot of music or whatever because she's in the house now, it's like, okay, well, let's see if that person's on tour, or let's see if
that
she's
is very
playing like a local
thoughtful.
thing, you know, just little things like that. You know, you just kind of, you know, you're hearing somebody a lot more, so you tend to like desensitize to the same sounds. But if you really have to kind of like dig in and listen more, you're hearing it more, but then try to find different ways to hear the same song.
Yeah.
So if like you listen to Thriller or you listen to a Michael Jackson song, we've all heard those songs. We've heard them in department stores. We hear them on the radio. Our old heads used to play them. But like, just focus on the bass,
Yeah.
or just focus on the drums, or just focus on the guitar. You know, just the different elements, and you'll find it. You'll find it. You'll hear it, and you'll come up with these
did y'all
different
catch that
ideas.
analogy? How deep that was?
He gets there.
Yo, that was
Yeah.
Stop
that was
it.
pretty deep.
You need to stop it.
That was
And you,
pretty deep.
and you do need to listen to the drums.
I think that's
Right?
Like, I can't say I disagree. I
Yeah,
mean,
that was pretty
Yeah.
much on point.
like he kind of hit on the head with that. The one thing that Keon actually does, like he tends to do that I'm actually starting to pick up, but he's much better at it than I am. He lives on like a spur of the moment. So like if it's all right, everyone knows we're about to get hit with this ridiculous winter. So somewhere in like April or like the first nice day, he'll call me and say, hey, you should come out to the city. And I'm like, well, we didn't plan for me to come out to the city. He's like, nah, you got to come out to the city right now. All right, show up to the city, you know, go grab a drink, go find some music, just walk around, like something, just inserting like something that was unexpected.
Yeah.
And that will make it, that to me,
That
like,
keeps it fun and fresh.
of course,
Oh, that
you
is
know, so it's
awesome.
just like, it's the timing. While the timing wasn't it wasn't planned for, it's
She
still
be
kind of
mad, too.
perfect. He's right, because I'm a planner.
Train to the city.
Yeah, all the way to the city. She walked. She was like,
Yeah.
did she get there?
Oh, this is so cute. This was a good
she
idea.
be big
Cursing
mad.
you out the whole way.
Putting it on
Big
Instagram, like,
mad.
look what my baby did for me. Meanwhile, when we're on the phone, I'm like, I'm not coming out there. You're like, come on, that's a whole train ride. You don't know what's going on. Like,
Yeah, she be big mad.
You know, but I think we forget to, not saying it's realistic, but to do our best to kind of stay in that honeymoon phase. Because that honeymoon phase, we're attentive,
Yes.
we're creative,
Yes.
we're spontaneous, and we're putting our best foot forward. And then we get lazy. I think that's where the rut comes in, when you get lazy.
But don't run away from that, though.
Don't run away from getting lazy, or
I
what
won't
do you
say
mean?
don't run away from, like, kind of take it as like medicine. You know, like, it's something that happens. It's something that's natural, but more importantly, it's necessary. there's no real couples out there that are on cloud 9 24/7.
Yeah.
Right?
But
The
according to
weather-
Instagram,
Right.
there's
I
couples
mean-
that
Right.
everything is going great.
And-
Instagram will
that's wrong.
have you chasing a lie. Talk
Right.
about it.
Real.
Like,
Right. And I think a lot of couples really believe that and really buy into it. And that's why when things do go south, their whole barometer or their the thing that they're measuring it up to is Instagram. So they're like, oh, well, this isn't going to work out because it's not matching what I'm seeing or what I'm
Right.
being fed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, like chalk it up and just be like, you know what? I ask like older couples all the time, like old couples. We were talking about like the steel workers union.
Oh,
We're talking about steel workers union couples
Mhm.
that been around. They'll be like, you know what? Yeah, we was in a rut. They be in a rut for like 5 years. Like they be going through it. I mean, raising kids, living their lives, growing their family, but they just not banging with each other. And they'll be like, oh yeah, back in, from 93 to 98, I really wasn't messing with your father. And you find out after the fact. You're like,
Excuse me, what that mean?
yeah.
Like, didn't we go to Disney World in '95?
Yeah.
Every picture was taken. We're all so happy.
Yeah, but they hold it down, and
We had a whole photo shoot.
yeah, like I'm talking years, like graduations, all of this stuff, and they just showing up, punching a card in and leaving, treating it like a job, really.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times like you made your career as your career, but there's some days you go in and it's a job.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you get days like that, but you consider it, think of it like that, and then, be like, just like this will pass. There's a time limit to this, and we could use this as a means to get back to where we're having a great time.
Right.
Don't run away from it. It's human.
But definitely, the whole this will pass. Easier said than done, because
Yes.
it's hard,
Much
especially
easier.
being
Yes.
the one who. And I'll be honest. Me and Vicky have had times where I'll be the one that will be like, "This will pass." I know we're in a rut, and I know
Yeah.
I'm not putting my best foot forward. But for me, it's like, oh, it'll pass. Cause I'm confident it'll pass. I'll get out of my rut. But for me, I'm thinking for her, it's like, how can you say that when we're in this like huge rut?
Right.
Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. So again, easier said than done.
Yes.
For that person who's like who's acknowledging the rut that you're in more than the other person.
I feel like with you fall into that because, or excuse me, let me say it this way. It's easier to get out of that when you understand the dynamics of, one, why someone's in a rut, two, what you've made it through in the past, and is what's going on now bigger than that, or if it's smaller than that. Because if it's smaller than what you've made it through in the past, there's no concern. There's absolutely no
That's dope.
concern.
That's dope.
Like Keon and I, when we hit our ruts, we're completely different thinkers, him and I. So I know with me, if something is bothering me right now, my first train of thought is, why is this happening, and how can I make it stop happening? I'm not gonna say that. Oh, woe is me. It's never gonna change. Da 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 da. A, B, and C. Like Keon said, we're all human. We're all gonna have bad days. Some days are always gonna be better than others. But if the plan is to work in a partnership, you gotta realize, like, you have to be able to accept everything when it comes to your partner.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to accept their good days, and you got to be able to accept their bad days.
Even if those days are weeks.
Even if those days are
years.
weeks, even if
Years,
those
it
days are
happens.
months. Like,
It's
I mean,
forever.
I could talk about like the test. Like,
Yeah,
Like,
I took hella L's on
we got
that.
he's taking this test that all I know is an engineering test. Like,
Smart
I
people
don't
stuff.
smart people. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
he's taking this.
You said engineering, and my brain was like,
he's taking this smart people test right now. And the way I'm viewing the test is, it's a test. You pass the test or you don't pass the test. Unfortunately, he didn't pass the test. All right. And same thing. There's going to be another test. All right. We got to buckle down. You have to study a certain way. You have to focus a certain way, so on and so forth. And we need to be ready to move forward. I need to be prepared to deal with him for being in a rut for the next couple of weeks because he failed the test. So now is not the time to say, oh, you don't take me out anywhere. Or, you're not paying attention to me, or you whatever, all this stuff, because I understand what's going on. Does it affect me personally? No, I don't even know when the next test is, but I know there's something that I know it's something that if it affects him this way, I can't look at it as I can't look at it like
you can't put all the weight on him. Like, oh,
yeah,
we're like this because of you.
yeah,
like,
because it's not. That's not. He's in this based on the environment right now, and we're gonna get past this.
Yeah,
you know. So that's how I look at it.
So you mentioned that's your way of thinking. What is his way of thinking? I'm interested because I want to know if it matches what the response has been from one of our previous episodes.
Keon was strip like
on how we
answer
think.
the question.
I'd like to see this.
I think it's now time for a bathroom break. Keon can look at things, quote unquote, short term. Like he can figure out what we're doing within the next couple of hours, whereas I can tell you what we're doing next month. Like I look at the long term or the wider scope, and while looking at the wider scope, sometimes I tend to miss. All right, you're thinking of doing this extravagant thing, but right now there's no gas in the car, or right now there's no, we didn't eat breakfast yet. You're over here talking about what we're gonna do for tomorrow's dinner. That's how I think, and then. With him, he'll say, okay, this is the money we have in our pocket. We need to put gas in the car and get something to eat. And I'm like, well, all right, if we do that now, but what's going to happen come Tuesday if the checks don't go through and da-da-da-da-da, A, B, and C. And
work it out then.
Yeah, that's how he looks at it. We can figure it out then. And I need that sometimes. I need that because it kind of brings me down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to focus on that, because focusing so far ahead will cause worry as well.
Right. And anxiety.
Anxiety
trying to
and
control
stress.
the uncontrollable.
And I noticed that it took me a while to understand it, but when he doesn't think that far out, it's not a shot at me like, babe, I hear what you're doing, but I'm just not interested in it. It's more so we don't worry about that right now. We got to worry about what our family is doing we got to worry about what's going on right now, not what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, because anything could change between now and 2 weeks from now.
So true.
So that I needed that, and that took 11 plus years to figure that out, but
I mean that's in a micro sense. Don't think like I'm out here not family planning and not saving my money and
He's like, okay, let me clear this up.
What about kids? He's like, we got kids now? What about right now?
I mean, my mind does go past like a week or two. She's giving me like the mental capacity of a fruit fly. Like, come on, man. I do think about those things, but
you gotta worry about the now.
Well, it's just when it's very like detailed oriented, it's very now. But then, in a macro sense, like, okay, well, we're going to save, right? I may not save for something. We're going to save for things on a grand scale versus like specific things. Like generally, I just save because it's the right thing to do, but Jesideh will be like, all right, well, how much do we need for this at this time today? 6 months from now, and it's like I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And it's great that she's thinking of that, and she's putting it in the machine to get processed, but I'm just not there yet. Like there's loading involved, and like there's calculations that got to get involved there. Yeah. But
where would you say we are with that? Go ahead. Go ahead. Because you said you wanted to see if it was similar to.
No, I was gonna say because she was mentioning how, when it comes to like an issue, she tends to focus on
the scope wider.
Yeah, but how do you deal with issues? Like you're like no. You said when you deal with issues, you're like I want to know what's bothering me and how can I stop it from bothering me.
Oh yeah.
So how do you deal with under that same situation?
Well, issues with me or like issues that she's probably struggling with?
I'm not sure.
No, but I guess going off of what you said, you were talking about when he's dealing with an issue, how you should be.
No, like let's say you're dealing with an issue.
So vice versa.
You're like, I want to know what's bothering me and how do I stop it.
Right.
When that happens to you, how do you deal with that issue?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know, like with me, I'm a kind of a weird duck in that sense. Like weather and workload, these things like really weigh me down, and they definitely affect my behaviors. But I'm willing to like compartmentalize those different things if she's going through something. Like I do think of it as kind of like a lifeboat type of thing. Like if she's in the water, you need at least one person to pull on the boat to pull you up. You know, no matter what I got going on the boat, let's get her on the boat and then we figure that out.
I think, well, if I'm hearing Vicky correctly, I think what she was saying is like, so when I said like the test, like how do you deal with the test, or how do you deal with if, you know, someone at work upsets you, or like
if people at work upset me, I try to tuck it, because you know, when you a person of color, like our you know, things that we do kind of have like bigger ramifications.
Oh,
so,
for sure.
You know, so you could be in a work environment and one person could be just wilding, but depending on their skin tone, people just decide how severe it is. And I don't think we have those luxuries to be able to do certain things at work, and people will just kind of like brush it over.
True.
You know, so
true.
I try to tuck stuff that I go through, and you know, if I'm upset at something, I go for a walk, or you know, get a cup of water, or you know, there's times where like I'll go out, or I think it was in the summertime or whatever, like nevertheless, like was struggling, so like I try to make an effort to call her like during lunch. It's like, all right, well, how's your day going? She's like, oh, it's all right, I got this going on over here, and then vice versa. So that's one thing that kind of helps. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I know when he
no.
How do you deal with Jesideh's the reason why you're upset?
And
you guys are under the same roof, in the same area, same space. You also go for a walk?
I call that Monday.
No, like, Monday's a rough day. Stormy Mondays.
Look at you talking.
That was a scary stare. But, to me, I don't think square footage matters. Like whether if I'm in solitary confinement, there's two people in there, I'm gonna find my space. Whether it's mental space, I'm sticking to a corner, and that's one thing I think we've struggled with a bit, or kind of had to be able to coexist when we don't really want to be around each other. And
because that happens when you're in a rut.
It happens.
You start to like, you start to get irritated by that person's presence, because they're just like now a constant reminder of how you're feeling. Like things are not working.
One habit I knew I had to break when we would get into like our disagreements, or you know, anything where negativity is now in the room. I had a tendency of like, okay, now is the time I'm going to go to the gym. Now is the time I'm going to go get some ice cream. Now is the time I'm going to go for a walk. Now, like, and as you get older, you notice like now is not the time you should leave when there's still negativity between you two.
Because mad people just be dying.
I mean, realistically, you don't know what's going to happen when you go out there. And the last thing you want your partner or the person you love to have in their mind is, this person left mad at me, or this person, we didn't resolve this situation or this issue. I get upset even if we have a disagreement the night before work. If he leaves for work before me, and he works in New York, in the past 2 years, New York has been blown up. The trains aren't working. The you know, people are just shooting crazy. And every time I'm hearing that, I call, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this. So what I've learned to do, and I had to request for him to do as well, if we have our issues, same thing he said, if it's solitary confinement, find your space.
Yeah, cool off.
Go to the bedroom. I'll stay in the living room until we both get hungry, and then we'll meet in the kitchen and see if we can figure this out.
That is so good.
I think what I got from everything we all just said, one thing that I won't say this is the end all be all of getting out of a rut, but one thing that helps the rut is understanding each other.
Oh yeah.
Or taking the time to at least be willing to understand what's going on. You know, why are we here? Why is he or she here?
Right.
And you know, where am I? What can I do to help, you know, us move past this?
Right. One thing I always thought that was so dope was when you hear someone says, I know him like the back of my hand, or I know her like the back of my hand. I know every single thing about this person, da 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 da. As Keon and I have grown together, when I hear that, I think you just stop paying attention, because people will forever be evolving.
Yes.
That's just what we do. So the Keon that I knew in college, I know that Keon like the back of my hand, but now the Keon I know as a professional, you know, he's still evolving. Now the engineer, you know, and then when that Keon passes this test, he's a new Keon. And that when that Keon becomes a father, he's going to be a new Keon. He's always going to be changing. So I have to keep paying attention to that, you know.
Gem right
and
there. I think people stop
as long as you keep paying attention to that, it's going to be I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but it's going to be very difficult for things to go dull, because you always seeing a new part of someone, or you seeing, you know, a new spark. And you're accepting that new part of them.
So here's one, I guess not concern, but one response that you'll get from people when you talk about, like, you know, keeping the fun. And this kind of goes back to one of our past episodes, but 2 guests that we had. A lot of times people will say, well, you know, it's kind of expensive to always maintain the fun, to always go out, to always, you know, do stuff, do this. People will say, yo, that's I'm not balling like that. I can't do that all the time. Because we automatically assume it takes money for us to do all these things. It takes money for us to live that Instagram life that we saw online. I think that's why.
It helps.
And that definitely helps.
Not if you don't know what you're doing. I mean,
exactly.
some of the last videos we put up on Instagram was us meal prepping with the music playing in the background.
Oh yeah,
like you figure out fun. You figure out fun. First you figure out funds, then you figure out fun. You know, like you gotta figure out
funds.
Then you figure out fun. Like,
I like that.
You know, so if you
funds before fun.
Yes,
that should be your next tattoo.
Like I said, when we were younger, you have to figure it out. Everyone in here, we're all in, you know, fraternities and sororities. You know, you have people you're close with. You have you can plan, and that's another thing that I take pride in, that Keon kind of had to put the little stamp on a little bit. But, you know, as long as you plan it properly and you're, I guess, frugal but savvy with it, you can always figure things out. Like me and Keon going to I don't know what's Instagram life like.
I don't live in Instagram.
Going on a day cruise brunch with champagne bar. Like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that.
We could.
That does sound like a very Instagram.
That's
you know, but you see something like that, there's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. Like, do I have to go in heels? Like, how many champagnes do I get? Is it cold that day? Is it going to be covered? You know, where's the parking? Yeah. All types of stuff. If I miss the boat, am I getting my money back?
Yes.
All of that thinking, it already turned us off to it. Yeah. It already turned us off to it. We'll go to the same restaurants in our neighborhood. We'll look up. They know us by name. You know, just real quick, go in there, buy a $5 torta, take it to the house, Netflix, and we had a good night.
A lot of people think it takes a lot of money for you to maintain that fun life, but I think we're going off of, like you said, what we see on Instagram. We're going off of, we're not going to be happy and fun unless we are going to Mama Wanda's every week and Mama Wanda Cafe. I'm looking at Vicky because she's on these brunch slots now.
Yeah. I've been there once.
She be at brunch every weekend.
Well, a pro tip though for eating out.
What?
Is
so where he's saying
if you go to these restaurants, to these places, don't go Friday and Saturday. Go on an off night. They always have specials, and it's spontaneous.
I think this goes back to something you said earlier. I think people need to get to the point where you're okay when something that the other person has, something they have, something they do, it's just not you.
Oh yeah,
just be okay with it.
We're past that.
And I feel like a lot of people, I feel like some people don't, or they haven't gotten there, or don't want to accept that part. You know what? This thing that this person does, we don't have to like all the same things.
Right.
Getting into a relationship is not about changing or taking away someone's individuality. Like, before I showed up, if there was something that he appreciated or liked, and vice versa, to this day, we still do that.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed because, like he said earlier, there are times where it's like he's pushing me out the door to go with my girlfriends or whatever the case is, because those are the things that maybe drew us to each other, or those are the things that offer a sense of relaxation or offer a sense of, like it just brings you back to who you are.
Yeah.
He loves to play the guitar. The only close to scuffle thing we ever had that came up with the guitar was when he ordered one and I didn't know it was showing up. So like, but outside of that, well, yeah, he ordered it.
Yeah.
Part of me
We
feels
were
like
supposed to go. We went to do our wedding.
It was wedding vendor coordination.
Yeah, we went to go do our wedding
yeah, I was
vending.
like, how long is this gonna take? Because
And
Absolutely.
I got a guitar coming.
we were in Pittsburgh, and he ordered a guitar in Pittsburgh, and I'm like, when did this?
You need to paint the full picture. Come on, fam.
First of all, let's start
You
from
ain't ordered a guitar.
First of all-
you ain't ordered a guitar in Pittsburgh.
I ordered, but there was so much more to it. So like she's here trying out makeup artists. And I was like, all right, cool, right? And then open up the door and a dude rolls in. You're like, oh, okay, this is different.
He did really good makeup.
Did he? He did, right? So she's there getting done
Yeah, I was
up.
like, he did beat my face up.
And I'm not going to stay here and like, I'm just not,
Yeah.
right? So I go and I find a music shop. I was there playing a couple of the guitars, started talking to the guy. I mean, there was layers to it. Like, of course, I kind of was scoping it a bit, but then it was like I got it used, so it was like crazy for the low. It wasn't
You were
like
being fiscally responsible.
as always.
While
had a
planning
wedding.
a wedding.
For fun,
While
right?
planning a wedding.
Well, that's the most you need to be fiscally responsible, especially while planning a wedding.
So,
Yeah.
so actually, I want to ask Vicky a question, and then you can all kind of touch on it.
Yeah.
That whole spontaneous, creative thing, when having fun. What would you say was what was your thing that always stands out when you say, oh, what was the one spontaneous, creative thing that O'Day did?
I know that off the top of my head.
What is it?
So I would say it was the time that you picked me up from the train station.
Oh, wait. Be careful, because people going to think we balling right now.
What was he driving?
Well,
What was he
no,
wearing?
he drove my car.
Yeah.
And he picked me up at the train station, and he was in a suit. And which I found weird. I was like, but he was in a full suit because he wears a suit to work, but he had like a full suit with a tie and everything.
With a belt.
Yeah, like he was
Watch out now.
all the way. Like he wears a suit every day, but this time it looked different.
With the
So then he
Watch. Mad girl's gonna go on dates now and be like, "Oh, you look nice."
So you can't no belt.
So he
Check with you wearing a belt? Oh, you thought you serious about tonight?
Thought this through.
Like, oh, he ain't wearing no belt. This ain't going nowhere.
So he opened the back seat door, and he had like 3 or 4 magazines laid out,
Okay.
and I think like candy.
I had a bottle of Fiji water.
Yes.
Ooh. It wasn't just.
O'Day's very big on refreshments in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My goal is to have the most convenient car.
Yes. His goal is to legit always have the most convenient car. He wants to make sure that whatever you need, he has it.
Charger for
while you're in
everything.
his car.
Thank you.
Every kind of
Why?
charger.
Who thinks like that? I'm like, I don't even want to move my car.
men think like that. Most men.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
I'm sure they do.
No,
They
they
either want a sparkling, spotless, clean car, or just everything that is very
Yeah.
that just works.
And I got that from, shout out to my sister-in-law, Erica. Her uncle, I remember her uncle drove us like 3 blocks somewhere. And I got in his car, and the water was ready. Everything you needed was there. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I want that one day. I'm going to make sure my
This
car
is the life you
is
want.
the most convenient vehicle ever.
It was a great 3 blocks.
But go ahead.
So he had like the Fiji, the magazines, and I think there was candy. I'm almost positive. And then he drove me to the mall, and he was like, buy whatever you want.
You getting on me for Whole Foods?
No, he took me to a store in the mall, and he was like, buy whatever you want.
I think it was like H&M or something. So it wasn't even
It wasn't
that.
no- it wasn't no
like,
H.
it wasn't.
It sounded like it was Louis Vuitton. Tell the truth.
No.
But here's
No,
how
I think it was like H&M or something like that, because I was complaining that I didn't have any clothes to wear to work. constantly complaining about not having any clothes to wear to work. So they was like, just buy whatever you want.
Right.
But under that pressure,
but a full closet
I
of
didn't
clothes.
feel like I
You
could.
ain't got no clothes.
You could get whatever you want.
No, it was like too much pressure.
There was a limit.
I don't know what to pick. I don't know. So I like bought like I picked out like
shoes.
Yeah, I picked out a pair of shoes.
Don't get me wrong.
That's all you bought?
I was under pressure. I can't shop like that.
So
I can't shop like that.
To provide some context to the audience, she said she had no work clothes. On the way to this recording studio, we definitely walked through a walk-in closet.
The size of the studio, the size of Vicky's closet.
It is the same square footage as the recording studio.
She has one downstairs.
She has 2 closets. And we were told in this story that there was not enough clothes.
Mind you, what you see now is post-purge.
Oh,
She's already
no.
I have boxes right there.
2 closets.
So you sound like a hater, yo.
But to go back to Vicky's story, I did have like
He's like, I'm still trying to understand.
I did have an internal like limit. I had a limit in my head.
You got to have a limit. You got to have a limit. You can't just say buy whatever you want. I want to buy people. Because I saw it in a movie somewhere and it worked. It's like, no, that's slavery. You can't buy it.
Luckily, Vicky was humble and she only picked up like a few things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, okay. So for me, there have been a couple. There have been a couple where Vicky's done like.
Oh, you better say the one I'm thinking of.
Wait, which one?
No, I'm not gonna tell you. Why would I tell you?
Damn, now I'm pressured.
It better be.
You added pressure to it.
Damn. Let's go around the room and I'll get back to me.
Go to him.
Definitely ladies first.
So the one time, what was the most standout time that he wowed you with some creativity?
I only.
It better be the one he thinking. I'm joking.
It can't. Keon is really, really, really good with gifts. I gotta be honest. Okay, the one I think I could think of off the top, which is what I still regret to this day, but he calls me one day when I'm on my way to work and he says, Can you be at the city by 3 or something like that? And I'm like, let me check. I check with my coworkers. They say it's fine. You can go, a little earlier. So I tell him I'll be there by 3. He says, okay. So due to unfortunate circumstances, I couldn't get out at 3.
Oh, yo. I think I know what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, this sounds
You know the story? Okay.
I couldn't get there at 3. And he was okay. He was like, it's okay. Just, try to get here when you can. I was like, okay.
That's sad.
5 comes. I can't get out of work. 6, 7, 8 comes. He's like, why are you not here yet? I'm like, I can't get out of work. I'm trying my best. Some things went awry, this, and that. And he was like, all right, I have to tell you because, I want you to be there. So he tells me that he got me tickets to the Dave Chappelle show.
Yes.
And you got there late?
I walked in. By the time I walked into, it wasn't Apollo. Where was it?
Radio City.
Radio City.
The residency.
Yeah. Damn. By the time I walked into Radio City, I literally walked in as Dave was saying, "Good night, everybody."
Oh, you gotta get divorced.
Yo.
You gotta get divorced.
And my man's just walking
out of
off the stage. Like I walked.
Control.
That was like a scene from a comedy.
I was there. It was a blast. I mean, to provide more context, Common.
Because those shows, he brought people out.
He brought Common. He brought the Roots.
Ice Cube. Vince Staples. Ashley Larry.
Okay, we get it.
And Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. Yeah. And it was a really, really sad day for me because it was really sweet. It was once again being Keon. It was spontaneous. It was something that I didn't expect that. It was a gift, but it was more so like even if it was like he says he looks at the computer or he tried to pick things up or whatever the case is. He didn't have to do any of that to provide such an amazing gift. And I didn't talk to someone at work for quite some time.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, because I was like, it was not in her control. So that's actually like when she was venting about it, I'm like, yo, that's really frustrating because it's like when you're not the reason of why things happen, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, oh, now I have someone to really
Like,
be mad at.
yeah.
I didn't talk to that person
Sure.
for months.
Yeah.
Months. And it was funny because I didn't talk to them for months. And every time I came to home, Keon was like, have you spoken to this person? I'm like, no, I'm not talking to them. I don't care. And I was trying to be petty, but I was being petty for him because he bought the ticket. And at some point he was like, babe, you got to let this go. Like, it happened. You acting this way isn't going to get the money back. It's not going to take away what happened, but you got to go to work with this person. You got to see them. And you're bigger than this. And I'm like, let me be petty. And he's like, I mean, you do what you want, but it's not a good look for you. So he actually talked to me out of the petty state that I was in. And I eventually spoke to the person and I, explained everything. Pause. And then I found out that person went to the show too.
Yes.
Yo. Oh, that burns.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That burns like vinegar.
That kid's like, girl, guess what I went last night?
Like, I'm
I was there too. Oh my gosh.
no, she went. He brought out. She went when they brought out like Amy Schumer. Like, so it was a.
So you were like, okay, never mind.
But it took like everything in me for me to be like, all right, I can't walk around with this hate in my heart.
Yeah.
So let me get this out.
Now, I'm not sure if I have a couple moments in mind, but we did have something similar. But I think what happened, I think we broke up one of our little breakups or arguments, and come to find out, Vicky had bought. Come to find out, Vicky had bought John Legend tickets.
Wait. No.
Not that one?
No.
And I'm a John Legend fan.
No,
I mean, his last name is Legend.
I've seen
No, hold
John
up.
Legend perform his first album
Hold up.
at least 4 times in
Hold
person.
up. No,
Wow.
I
no,
could sing
no.
that whole album to you.
Wait,
Wow.
it wasn't a breakup. I know exactly what it was. O'Day was trying to force me to study for this test, right?
Okay.
And he was like, "No, you really need to study for
So
this
I was
test."
trying to make her be great.
I didn't care about the test, but I'm gonna tell you why.
Why?
Because this was a very private performance with John Legend, where only like about 30
There she
people were
is.
in the room,
Yo, I would
and
have
I got
lost
the
my
seats
shit.
right in front of him. Like we were
Sure.
right in front of him. It was an intimate, it was in Connecticut. It was a very intimate performance. About 30 people, 30 to 35 people in the room, and I got the
Oh,
last 2
man.
tickets.
I would have
What?
lost my mind.
And they were they were
2 of
fairly
30?
So
Yes.
So wait, what happened?
So he was like,
I
I think you
wanted
should
Vicky
study.
to
Let's
study.
not go.
Because education matters. The more you know.
Excuse me. No.
But yeah, so that's.
Was that the moment you were thinking about?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It didn't even happen. So.
Well, the other one I could think
that's,
of.
That's
Well,
in relation to what she went through.
Did you
but
study?
It wasn't your control. No, I didn't study. I was mad as hell.
God
I didn't study.
God forbid I was trying to make her great.
Yo.
I was like,
I'll tell you
I'ma go to
what.
bed.
I'll tell you
She
what.
said I'm gonna go to bed.
Wait, when was the test? Was it like a
It was
month
like the
from
next
now?
day.
it was like the next day.
I mean, he's trying to make you great.
I still didn't.
Yo, you
study.
can't win, man. You can't win, yo.
He was
Can't
trying to make
win.
you great.
My mentality was, if I don't know this now, I'm not gonna learn it by the morning. So.
No, that is not true.
And I
There's
don't
plenty of
sacrifice.
people-
And I don't sacrifice my sleep for
But
no
you-
test.
Oh my gosh.
So, Keon, your moment.
It's a lot. Like Jesideh has really blessed me with like some really great things, but like it's really. I mean, not to like shoot myself in the foot, but a lot of times it's the simple things. I think it's like a gift. She gave me like a bunch of different things. It was like a gold chocolate fountain and like just like really cool
Let me give him
things.
a gold chocolate.
But it was just like because working in the city is not easy.
No.
As anybody that works in the city,
That commute,
the commute is rough.
It's disrespectful.
You
it is
just-
disrespectful.
Bro.
Yeah.
It's just
You
it's
know
just
what?
rough, you know, and it's not easy. You know, you go through a lot just to get there. And I think she went and she got me a she bought my monthly. Like she bought my monthly train ticket. You know,
That's the greatest gift.
Yo,
I
a
mean-
monthly.
Yo, listen, not having
Metro
to
card?
stand in line to pay for it, waiting
Yeah.
while
Bruh.
some idiot doesn't know how to use the same machine he uses every month.
every
Being from
It
New
is-
York.
You don't understand to be able to literally just swipe and go.
Yeah.
Those like minutes matter.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
matters.
valuable
Seriously.
time, though.
But it was just like it was just an
It was very
acknowledgement
thoughtful.
of
Yeah.
just like
That is very thoughtful.
you know, like
wow.
I know you're going through something every single day to bring this bacon back. All right. And I'm talking organic,
'Cause we eat
uncured
organic.
bacon. You know, and
Not that
she-
turkey stuff.
No
Nah.
turkey, no.
I
We
love
talking
turkey
ham's
bacon.
ham.
It's not real bacon.
And you know, she just was like, you know what, here, like this is one less thing you ain't gotta sweat.
Let me tell you,
You know?
That's so sweet.
that
Yeah.
is
Well, you did
truly
it.
a gift.
I think that goes back to the conversation that stemmed the phrase of the day: funds before fun.
Oh yeah.
Right.
People think a lot of times it is. Oh, I need to be extravagant. I need to do something. It's fun for us has to be what I see on Instagram. When fun and excitement and thoughts of endearment for him was you realizing something that he needed and taking care of that.
Yeah.
Realizing that little silly thing that he might have liked or wanted. One example I had and I thought of, and I don't know if it's what you're thinking, but it was big for me.
Yeah.
I used to always say I wanted a certain type of birthday party. I want.
I know what you're talking about.
I think when I turned 33, I wanted a 3-year-old birthday party.
Okay.
And Vicky surprised me with a little get together with friends and family, and she went online and took pictures of me and made coloring pages out of them.
Oh,
and we
really
had crayons, we had
That's cute.
ice cream. It was like a kids party with kids party games.
Nice.
And I liked it because I really wanted it. I had mentioned it. She was listening. She had heard that part of the instrumental. She heard that part of the beat. She heard that bass, and she remembered it, and she did that for me. And
That's really sweet.
I love that.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's not what she was thinking about, and she's mad I didn't bring up what she thought about because I can't remember.
Now I just want to know what was
was
it?
it?
Because that was beautiful.
That was pretty cool.
No, this is even better.
Oh,
when I gave him a child, blah blah blah. Go ahead.
No.
that wasn't top 5.
No. Okay.
People give children every day, B. Go ahead.
Some people can't.
True. True.
Can't.
So last Valentine's.
Okay.
I want to know what happened.
So
You know what? I have my rebuttal. Go ahead. And she knows what my brother's gonna. She knows what it's gonna be. Go ahead. Tell us how you wowed me on Valentine's Day, so I can ether you in your. Go ahead.
I got
Go
to
ahead.
know.
Go ahead.
I got to know.
Okay. So I did a bunch of like mason jars filled with candy that had Valentine's Day puns to them.
Okay.
Like you're the Reese's cup to my whatever. Like
Right.
and I hid 6 of them
The jars.
of the jars
Right.
Okay.
of candy. I hid them. I got a special like Valentine's Day card made at Walgreens. I picked it up. I put it on his bed. I wrote, Happy Valentine's Day. I've left 6 gifts for you scattered through the house. And it was wherever the hearts were. So I bought these little balloon hearts, and they would say the numbers on them.
Right.
So he found all 6, and then the gifts were all. This was very well thought through.
It sounds like
Weird.
it.
The
was.
gifts,
Sounds like
the gifts
Some
were.
people don't even know where
The
to buy them
gifts
damn jars.
were all
Sensory?
they were sensory gifts. So
All
they
the
were
senses.
all about your senses.
Oh, okay.
So one was about taste.
Taste was like
taste,
a bunch of
sight.
Yeah.
sour-
Taste was the candy.
all the worm, like
Taste
little jelly
was
worms.
all the
Yeah.
all the 6 things of candy. That was the taste. And then the pillow that he's sitting on.
Hey,
That's for vision.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's for vision.
that's really cute.
And then what did I do? See, I don't even know the 5 senses.
Okay. There was I think here was there's a heart.
Oh, so there's a heart. So I bought this little heart where you can record a message and it plays when it hits light.
And it was cool. It was
So
cool. Okay.
so
Continue.
that one had a message letting him know that I was taking him out to dinner.
Okay.
I had already made reservations. I took him out to dinner to that place in New Brunswick with the soul food.
Didn't we go to a concert
Delta
or something?
Deltas. It wasn't
I'm
that
on
good. I didn't really like it.
I'm not a fan of
You
Deltas.
just cooked them. You just cooked
I
them
know.
on there.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that
There
place.
goes our Delta sponsorship.
No, sorry. To me, it just was not that really
Okay.
that good. And I think we were supposed to go to
we went
like
somewhere. We supposed to go
for
like
jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. We went to Deltas because they were also playing live jazz.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was all within the senses, and that was the gift, and it was very well thought through.
Oh, it was very well.
Go ahead,
That's
Dave.
cute.
Go show them how petty you are.
That
So-
was cute.
So time to get petty. So
Because I could get even more petty than that. But go ahead.
We're not measuring petty.
Oh, we.
Oh no, we're measuring.
Like Jessica
petty.
said, let me
Right
be
now,
petty.
right
Let
now,
it just
we're
be.
measuring petty.
Be petty.
You're supposed to talk each
So,
other out of petty.
so this is what you did. So
Not encouraged.
this was how she wowed me for Valentine's Day last year.
This
And-
year.
This year. And how did you wow me for Valentine's Day last year?
I gave you a child.
No. For Valentine's Day. No. Don't say it. How did you wow me?
I gave you.
No, answer my question. How did you wow me?
I gave you a child.
Okay. The year before.
Ask him what he gave me when I became the mother of his only son.
Hold on, I'm not done. The year before, how did you wow me? The year before that?
Nothing.
And the year before that?
Nothing.
And the year before that?
Absolutely not a
thing. And I can keep going.
Wait, so
I can keep going. But during this time, O'Day was going. O'Day was delivering flowers to work, making sure.
That's it.
No. It wasn't just that.
Yes, it was.
But regarding the flowers, strategically having the flowers delivered at the end of the day, because all these other chicks getting their flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, you wanted to make her feel like.
And making sure the flowers was the biggest. You know, at times,
for the person who was still commuting by train.
At times, coming to her job to give the flowers.
Sounds like you didn't.
Hold on. Some years doing the whole countdown. I think it was like a little countdown type thing to Valentine's Day, where I did like one was like a handwritten letter, kind of stuff. Just know that O'Day was doing something every year.
And then when I became the mother of his son, he didn't do shit.
Maybe
a son is the greatest gift.
Anyway,
maybe someone
that was my Valentine's Day.
Maybe
gift.
someone should take notes on Valentine's Day.
No, that's a great idea.
I'm just saying, since this is the topic.
That's a great idea.
He's like, I agree.
No,
Someone should.
I've been taking notes, and I intend to burn every single one of them because that's not how I operate.
And on that note, so February of 2019, we're gonna have you guys back on the show. See what went down.
I was back February 15th.
Valentine's Day isn't a holiday we really take like what's that word?
Correction.
You.
I stopped taking it seriously because you weren't taking it serious. You got Valentine's Day gifts.
That's why last year.
You got Valentine's.
Because we grew together.
You know what?
You know what's my thing? I don't need elaborate gifts. I just need you to be thoughtful.
I think the last time I got you those handmade chocolates
for Valentine's Day. No, you just usually get me those because I like them.
Oh. Maybe just because it gets better than a day. Anyway.
I mean, hey, right? You know? Right. But long story short, what I got from everything we talked about is that, like Jesideh, we should all live our lives by 4 words. What would Keon do? Right?
Stop it. Stop it.
I was gonna say that earlier because there was a time in our conversation where you said some things that you learned from him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's what I kind of got from this overall conversation, and even from stuff that me and Vicky have talked about, went through over time, is I think that's how you could, for me, maintain your fun. You know, taking time to learn about the person, learn from them, and it's gonna sound weird, but not just the relationship growing into that, you know, that hybrid of you two, but you as well evolving into, how do I want to put this? There's you who you were going to evolve into anyway.
Right.
But because you've been with this person, some of that person should now be kind of infused in that level of that evolvement, that new level that you're at, that new person that you are.
I always have a
that makes sense.
I have a physical what's the word? Like, I guess analogy for that.
Is it better than the whole listen to the guitars, the drum? Because if it's not, I don't want to hear it.
It's much better.
It should be.
It's much better.
She is a poet.
Go ahead.
Shh.
Oh, hold on.
I'm not a poet anymore. So this is you and this is your partner.
Okay.
All right. And you grew like this entire life. You grew like this your entire life. When you come together, you can't come together like this. It's impossible. At some point, you have to open and allow each other to mesh. And when you mesh, it doesn't change the fact that one is that they're both hands. You know, this is still my left hand. This is still my right hand. They are who they were, but they still figure out a way to work together in order to make their connection. And I have to remind myself of that. Who taught me this? Let's say my aunt. My mom was there, but I'm gonna say my aunt taught me this.
Your mom was like,
right. She was there. She was just kind of throwing in her 2 cents. Yeah, that's it right there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So.
And the sentences together.
Yes, right. Together.
Yes. Yeah.
So once you realize that not staying like this will not allow you to become one with someone else, and you start opening up and allowing each other to mesh with each other, it just makes it easier. Nothing's getting hurt. Nothing's getting, there's no force here. It's flexible. It moves together. But if you try your best to stay a closed fist, and he tries his best to stay a closed fist, you're always gonna bump heads. That's just life.
Right.
I want to thank you guys.
Of course.
On behalf
Thank
of
you guys
Vicky
for
and I,
having
thank
us.
you for coming through, dropping
Yes.
gems on us.
Thank you
Remember,
for having
everybody,
us.
funds before fun.
Yeah.
There it is.
Funds before
Funds
Shout
fun.
out to that.
before
Yeah,
Listen.
for real.
Should I copyright that?
You should. You should.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
got it before next week when we air this. So
Yeah.
Call your lawyer quick.
I mean, I'm not sure I'm not sure if you guys, your social media presence is private. Do you want to share where people can find you?
Oh yeah. So you can find me at Precious Bartending LLC.
Cheap plug.
She
Also-
plug. She works hard. Deserved plug right there.
Listen.
Is this spelled
Also,
the same
but-
way?
Yeah, Precious Bartending LLC.
Nice.
That's it. But my personal one is code CODE BLU 333.
And this has been the You, Me, We podcast.